さんに飛び交うくらいみんなかっこいいが好きです。ジョブファンのサイトデザインもカスタマーサポートの対応も社員の働き方もスタートネのあらゆるものはかっこいいが元になっています。会社のサービスも大きく成長してこれたのは設立当初からの熱い思いを大切にしてきたからです。洋服の素晴らしさを伝えたい、サイトを見た時の驚きや感動を伝えたい、みんなを笑顔にしたい。スタートネの企業理念は世界中をかっこよく、世界中に笑顔です。その理念の先にはさらなる目標があります。それは世界平和の達成です。僕たちはこの夢を本気で叶えたいと思っています。この理念とその先の夢を目指し、すべての方々とのつながりを大切にして、スタートトゥデイは日々挑戦を続けていきます。
全国のショップスタッフがこのタウンで最新ファッションのコーディネート提案を始めます。ZOZOタウンでコーディネート提案始まります。私たち全国のショップスタッフが ZOZOタウンで最新ファッションのコーディネート提案を始めます。ZOZOタウンでコーディネート提案始まります。私たち全国のショップスタッフが 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 ZOZOタウンで最新ファッションのコーディネート提案を始めます。ZOZOタウンでコーディネート提案始まります。
It is time, so we would like to start today's conference introducing the financial results for the fiscal year 2012. Let me introduce those who are present. The President, Maisa Yusaku. CFO, Koji Yanagisawa. Director of the Financial Division, Go Saito. So three of us, three staff from the start today will be presenting the financial results. Today is a conference for the analysts, so we would only like to take questions from those who are involved in the market. At the beginning, we will have a brief overview from CFO Yanagisawa, and also Maisa-san will be making a presentation afterwards. So if we can begin with business results from Koji Yanagisawa. Hello everybody. If we can begin, fiscal year 2012 ending March, we would like to give you a brief overview of the financial results. There may be, the numbers may be quite small, so please refer to the documents that have been passed out to you. If you could go to the second page, the slide number 1. So this has a summary of the highlights of the fiscal year 2012. The transaction value was 95.8 billion, so this was a 19.5 increase. Operating profits were 8.5 billion yen. It increased 10.7% year on year. Unfortunately, we did not reach the initial targets. We did revise them in January. We did, however, meet the targets, both in terms of total transaction value and operating profit of the revised figures we published in January. If we go to ZOZOTOWN business, the total transaction value of that was 84.5 billion yen, which was a 15.9% increase. In terms of the number of shops, we have 492 shops. We had 389 shops last year, so this is a significant increase. And the annual number of purchasers, we had 2.48 million purchasers. We only had 1.96 million last year, so this is also a great growth. Having said that, in terms of the new customer acquisition and an active rate of the existing customers, this fell short of our initial estimation. So this is the number one reason why we couldn't achieve the initial targets we had set. In terms of the e-commerce consulting business, the transaction value was 11.3 billion yen, which is a 55.1% increase year on year. In terms of this, we achieved the initial targets that we had set at the beginning of the year. So this has been growing quite steadily. We had 21 sites, but we have increased that number to 25 sites. And also, the transaction for our clients have grown as well, so this is going well. In terms of profitability, the operating profit ratio to the total transaction value was 8.9%. It was 9.6% the previous year, so it has gone down a little bit. The main reasons are the free shipping and also the proportion of discount sales has increased. So this has dropped the gross margin. And we also increased our logistical operations, so the outsourcing expenses have also gone up. However, we've decreased the promotional costs, so we were able to set off the outsourcing expenses with the promotional costs. And in terms of the plans for fiscal year ending March 2014, we'll cover that later in detail, but we are looking at 108.4 billion yen total transaction value. This is a 13.0% increase in operating profit. We want to achieve 10.32 billion yen, which is a 21% increase. So our slogan or our keywords for fiscal year 2013 is serious, cool, and impressive. We have explained in the past recently that we want to be conservative to make sure that we target figures that we will definitely be able to hit. As we have explained earlier, the mass promotion, we don't want to depend on that too much. We want to keep our normal sales growth, our native growth in mind. Let us go into details of the business performance. And in terms of, there may be some overlap, so I will skip over the information that's overlapping. Slide number 3, as I explained earlier, the transaction value is, in terms of the revised figures, we've revised it down to 93.5 billion. We have ended the year with 102.6%. And the net sales is also 103.7%. So we have managed to increase those two figures. In terms of the operating profit, it was 7.77 billion after revisions, and we achieved 8.5. So we have achieved 109.8%. And also the net income was 113.1% as well. If you go to page 4, we have analyzed why the operating profits have increased and decreased. In terms of the fiscal year 2011, it was 7.7 billion. In addition to that, we added 4.72 billion. This is the increase in transaction value. But the gross profit margin went down by 0.8 billion. As I explained, free shipping and also the proportion of discount sales have affected the decrease in gross profit margin. The next item is the increase in variable expenses, which is tied to the transaction value. This was 3 billion. And the expansion of logistical facilities, this is the outsourcing costs, and this was 0.7 billion minus. And also, but in terms of the promotional costs, starting November, we have started giving away 10% rebates, point back rebates, and also free shipping. But we have also revised the entire promotional plans, so we stopped giving away 10% points, and we also stopped mass promotions. So in terms of against the initial plans, we were able to save 0.7 billion yen, which has resulted in operating profits of 8.5 billion. Next, if you turn to page 5, we'll show you the consolidated balance sheet. The key, if you can look at cash flows as well when we speak about this page, the cash flow or cash and deposits. If you turn to slide 6, the cash flow from financing activities is minus 6.3. The main reasons is that in August we acquired our own shares, so we used 3.6 billion there, and also we paid out dividends. And compared to last year, we have started to offer larger dividends, so that's why year on year it's a minus 6.2 billion yen. So on page, you will see page 5, you'll see that the cash has decreased, but this is the main reason why. If you look at page 5 again, tangible assets, we had 8 billion, but now this time we have 1.5 billion. This year we have 1.5 billion because of the new logistical facilities. We had to invest in facilities, so it includes the rentals and also the construction costs. If you turn to page 7, this is a transaction value. As I explained earlier, it's 95.89 billion this year. The proportions have changed in comparison to last year. The consignment sales was 79.1% this fiscal year, and purchase stock was 9.1%. We had 12.8% last year, but the purchase stock business has decreased quite a bit. E-commerce consulting was 11.8% of the total transaction value, so this has grown quite a bit as well. If you turn to page 8, transaction value per quarter, it was a 17.9% increase year on year. Last quarter, we hardly did any promotions, as we have been explaining, but despite the fact that we didn't do any promotions, we were able to achieve growth of 17.9%. So we believe that this is quite a good result. On slide 9, you'll find the net sales. There's nothing really interesting to say there, new to say there. If you can turn to we have increased the sales, however, to 11.2%, so it's 35.05 year on year. And also the consignment sales and e-commerce consulting is growing. If you look at the total members on page 11, we had 1,096,000 new members this fiscal year. So it's quite, the figures are quite similar to last year as well. However, as I explained earlier, this is short of the initial targets that we had set. Number of total buyers, if you turn to page 12, we have active members and guest buyers. At the end of fiscal year 2012 fourth quarter, we had approximately 2.5 million buyers. This has been a steady growth. Also, guest buyers, we had 713,000, and we have 1.7 million in active members. This was a sales period, so we saw a lot of guest buyers. In terms of the member distribution, it's page 13. There is not a great change here either. We have 57% of our members are women, and this is has risen a little bit. And also the average age is 31.4, and so the average is also going up gradually. Page 14, annual purchase amount and active member. So until now, we had active members and new, and we separate the charts, but we actually don't separate the new members from active members. So we felt odd that we were giving you new member figures, even though we don't manage it that way. So we are going to give you the aggregate figures from now on. So this will be the average for all active users, including new members. If you see from the third quarter to fourth quarter, the annual purchase amount has gone up slightly. So the new members that we got, we were able to retain last year, and also the new members that we have gotten this year were quite light users. And so these light users have become non-active after a while, but the active members are starting to purchase more, so this is why the numbers are going up. Also, if you go look at the bottom figures, active average item per purchase per active member, it's going up from 6.7 to 6.9. So this shows how people are purchasing more and more on ZOZO, so we see these results as a good sign. And in terms of the guest buyers, we used to provide figures for guest buyers as well, but it doesn't really change, meaning it's per shipment. Average purchase per shipment it's actually equal. It's quite similar to the average purchase per shipment. So we, if you can look at those figures when you think about guest buyers. If you look at slide 15, average purchase per shipment and average retail price. So the average purchase per shipment is 10,629, and average retail price is 5,955. The average retail price fell by 8.1%, and also the average purchase per shipment has gone down by 14.1% year on year. The average purchase per shipment has fallen quite a bit. Main reasons is the free shipping. And then another reason is because the proportion of the discounted products has risen, so that has pushed the average purchase per shipment down. In terms of number of shipments, although the average purchase per shipment has fallen, the number of shipment has increased, so people are still shopping on our website. It has gone up by 33.4%. This has the highest jump that we have seen in the past. And on page 17, you will see the ratio of shipping volume to the total purchase volume in terms of the access terminals. This is new information. We didn't offer this before, but we have added this to our documents. If you will see the black circles they signify smartphones. Every quarter, this proportion has gone up, and now it's 48%. And feature phones, the mobile, has fallen down to 6.3%. And PC has gone down a little bit, but remains around 53%. On slide 18, you will see the operating profit and operating profit margin. As we explained earlier, the operating profit was 8.529 billion, and the operating profit margin was 8.9%. This is against the transaction value. This is due to the free shipping and also the proportion of discount sales going up, and also the outsourcing costs. And also that offset by promotional costs has made it possible to keep it at a 0.7% decrease in comparison to last year. In terms of the selling, general, and administrative expenses, it's on page 19. It's a little bit hard to see. It shows you in detail what costs what. So there's nothing. I've already explained some of this before. In terms of payroll, however, we have changed what these figures refer to. If you look at the asterisks at the bottom, payroll includes salaries, bonuses, legal welfare expenses, provisions for retirement benefits, provision for bonuses, provision for directors' retirement benefits, and subcontracting payroll. So this is all included this time. But before, we had the provision for directors' retirement, and salaries and bonuses were the only items that were included, but this includes the entire payroll costs. And on page 20, you will see the figures for the fourth quarter. For fourth quarter, it was 3.0 billion. It grew to 11.0%, the profit margin, so it was a great result. The fourth quarter was actually, we talked about not doing TV commercials before, but we renewed the website in March. As you saw earlier, we launched those TV commercials in March. And so that has resulted in a 11.0% operating profit margin. So had we not done those TV commercials, we would have been able to achieve higher operating profit margin. However, we are trying to try to introduce our new service of introducing how people can coordinate on the TV. So that's why the operating profit margin is at the level that it is. On page 21, you will see SG&A for the quarters. If you can look at the line graph, the promotional related expenses against the transaction value, this is also new. As you can see here, the promotional costs actually affect our operating profit margin. So this fourth quarter, we have reduced the promotion related expenses to quite a low level, and that has resulted in a higher profit margin, operating profit margin. So we believe that we understand that the way we control our promotional expenses affects our transaction value. So that's why we decided to offer this information to you this time. This is the business results for fiscal year 2012. And we would like to speak about business plan for 2013. Transaction value, we want to hit 108.4 billion, and operating profits 10.3 billion. So we want to keep our operating profit margin in mind when we manage our business, and we want to grow the operating profit ratio by 21.0%, and earnings estimated dividends per share will be 20 yen. And slide 24 will show you the transaction value and also the operating profit margin. So we want to make sure to hit 10% profit margin, or as close to that as possible. So for this year, we want to keep 10% operating profit margin in mind when we do our business. In terms of the breakdown of the total transaction value, consignment sales, we want to hit 84.4 billion, which is a 11.3% increase year on year. Purchase stock, 8.8 billion, and this will be a 1% increase year on year. And if you can look at, it says, it mentions ZOZO used. So we want to do 2 billion in terms of ZOZO use. So we want to make sure we have great expectations for ZOZO use. And e-commerce consulting, we would like to do 15.2 billion yen, which is a 33.8% increase year on year. So we want to increase the number of clients that we have for e-commerce consulting. So we believe that this area will grow steadily for us. Lastly, in the way we think about our future business growth is that we're not going to depend on promotion activities. We want to base it on our native growth. So we actually, even though we have included some promotional costs and also affiliate costs, however, we don't want to do large-scale promotions. We haven't included it in the plans, but if we launch a new service or in terms of doing anything, launching something new, we might do some promotions in time with the new launches. So there's a possibility that we may do that, but it depends on what the transaction values are and operating profit margins will be. So we want to keep the impact that these promotion activities will have on operating profit margin and transaction value. So as long as we are hitting the targets and it's healthy, then we might be doing new promotion activities. But as a basic concept, we don't want to rely on promotion activities. So our number one focus will be on profitability, operating profit margin.
今年の秋からですね、新しい物流センターが稼働する予定でございます。
So this fall we will have logistical facilities, a new logistical facility opening up, and this capital investment is 3 billion yen, which is also included, and also we will add 75 new graduates. We have added 75 new graduates, so this is also reflected in our plans as well. If you look at slide 27, this is the outline of the new logistical facility. This information has already been made available in the past, but by adding this logistical facility, we will be able to handle transaction value around 300 to 400 billion. That will be from myself, all from myself. Thank you very much. Hello, I am Maezawa. Thank you for attending this conference. I know you are all very busy. You will see a little pancake or a cake on your desk. So if you are hungry, please eat. If why we have passed out these cakes, I'm not quite sure. I will ask later why. But there's a little cute animation character on the cake. This is a mascot for our 6-hour labor campaign. His name is Rokujiro. From May, we started only 6-hour labor office days, and this has gone very well. From October to December, our average productivity has gone up by 125%. So although the number of hours that they spend in the office has gone down, each and every employee has contributed even more. So I'm talking about this 6-hour day in all these different types of media, but I'm very disappointed that not many people have followed suit. Not many companies have followed suit. So this is a new fiscal year. We are a fashion company. So I'm sure some of you here know, but when we, at the conferences, when we speak, we usually create a new dress code and we wear different types of clothing. However, we are going to start it once again. We stopped doing that for a while, but today, do you understand what kind of dress code we all three of us are wearing? So the ties are different colors and we're wearing different color suits, but there is one common denominator, if you can see. We're all wearing shorts actually. Can you not see? I'm wearing shorts. My shorts, I think many people haven't seen us wearing shorts, but Saito-san and Yanagisa-san wearing shorts is quite a rare occasion that they're wearing shorts. So if you have time, please take a look later. I don't like to make traditions, but when we had dress codes, our stock share prices were doing well, so we want to start doing it again. So next conference, we will have a dress code again, so please look forward. For myself, I don't have any documents, but I would like to speak to you for 5 to 10 minutes. As Yanagisa-san explained, we started a new service, coordinate service. The shop services will present introduce different coordinations of products, different styles to consumers, and started in March this year. It's going very well. 4,000 shop staff all over Japan. They actually have uploaded 10,000 styles or images since March 20th, so it's about 1 month. So all the staff, we actually give them administrative access, so when they can log on as an admin and upload pictures and also introduce what's great about the products without having to go through us. And users of ZOZOTOWN we have had really great feedback on that. So besides the new styles or coordinates on the top page, we have special features and also category search and also new, but the coordinates actually has become the most important content, and that has contributed considerably to the transaction value. And every day we have more and more staff and more images being uploaded, so I think that this will become a really interesting content in the future. Currently, you can look at the coordinated images and then jump to the products page, but in the future, you can search for people who are wearing shorts or people who are wearing staff that are wearing white shirts or just brands or different regions or different height. So we can add more and more different search criteria, so that will help the users look for find what they're looking for. In the past, I have introduced that we are going to put more effort into the media business. So we believe that there is a potential in terms of the ZOZONABI. These media services have great potential. So in addition to these existent media services, we want to use this content and create and maybe launch a new business. And Yanagisawa-san also explained about how we are going to be spending the promotional costs. But we are thinking of developing this media business. Until now, we launched as saying please buy. But as you can see from the TV ads that we launched on March 20th, we proposed different coordinates. There's different blogs, so we want to be able to offer different media in these TV ads without having to spend too much. So there are different EC sites popping up every day. There's some new sites are being launched, new services, new EC sites are launching all the time. But the brands are quite surprised by the number of EC sites available now, and they don't want to be on all the platforms. They're actually looking to reduce the number of platforms that they'll be available on. So if you look at our competitors, you will know, but the number of our key clients have their own websites, and they are only looking at only a few more sites besides their own website. So the rise of all these various different EC sites has actually been better. It's actually encouraging the brands to limit the number of platforms that they're on, so they're more willing to work with us, which is great for us. I did mention that we will be doing something new this year. Today, we're not going to be able to describe this new idea or service in detail, but I am actually spending 50% of my time working on this new business, new change, new revolution. So that's all I'm free to say, but it's 6 minutes now, so sorry I couldn't get into detail, but this is all from myself. We would like to have your support this year as well. We would like to move on to Q&A now. We would like to begin the Q&A. So please limit your questions to one. People who have questions, please raise your hand. We will bring you a microphone. Thank you. My name is Ikozaki from Daiwa Securities. I have two questions. One, the fiscal year 2013, can you describe in detail the actual results targets that you're going to be aiming to hit? The 13.1% is the transaction value growth that you're looking at. This is a little bit probably conservative. Coordinate proposals are actually doing well, as you mentioned, but how is that specifically affecting the transaction value? Even with that included, is it going to be 13% or is it a very conservative figure? And the second part of my question is the promotional cost. You had set it at 5 to 6% of the transaction value in the past. So what will this figure be this year? Thank you for your question.
そうですね、前期比 13% ということで
So 13% growth?
ないですかね。
Is it low?
はい。
You had told us it would be 15 to 20% as being the native growth, so that was what you were mentioned before.
基礎計画を下回ってしまうという非常に残念なことをしてまして。
But we haven't hit targets for the second time in a row. So this year we don't want to not hit our target. So this is a very low estimate. And starting this fiscal year, we're not going to be able to issue monthly results, but we see great results for April, so we're wondering why we decided not to give you those figures anymore, but we are doing well. In April, please regard this figure as a very conservative plan. In terms of promotional costs, we had set it at 5 to 6% in the past. We're not going to be spending that much on promotional costs this fiscal year. We don't have the exact figure yet, but for example, we did TV ads in the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2012, but in January and February we hardly did any promotional costs, promotional activities, but we were able to have steady growth in terms of new members and also the transaction value growth. And so ZOZOTOWN is spreading virally. Word of mouth is it's spreading by word of mouth, and a lot of people are coming to us. So we want to be able to improve the operating profit margin to 10%. And the second question? So you have the 500 billion as a mid to long-term target, and you want to achieve that as soon as possible. Of course, at the current pace, it's going to take 20 years for you to achieve 500 billion. So to achieve 500 billion, do you have any specific plans, or what are the tasks that you see? If we can hear your thoughts about that, that would be great. 500 billion is still our target. Of course, this is always in my mind. I have no intention of spending 20 years to reach the target, but of course we need to create the foundation and the right structure, and we need time to prepare to be able to achieve these targets. So last year was a period where we tested various things to be able to it was a trial and error period, so we now understand what is necessary. But this fiscal year we want to keep in mind serious, cool, and impressive in our mind, and make this year will be a year where we will create the structure necessary to achieve 500 billion. Of course, still believe, I still would like to achieve these targets as soon as possible. Are there any other questions? Please raise your hands. The person next to you. My name is Yoshida from Nomura Securities. Thank you for your explanation. I have two main questions about ZOZO use. So I'm looking forward to how you will do. This is a large market, but what are your promotional plans? And there are other EC competitors who are doing the same, offering similar products. So how will you differentiate yourselves? And what percentage will this comprise of the 500 billion? Okay, let me take one question at a time. Yanagisawa-san explain. So we want to aim to achieve 2 billion yen. But this is still conservative. I think there's great potential in this area. But why is it 2 billion? It's because of issue with capacity. It's a used product, so purchasing products and actually analyzing its worth is a very analog process. So we need to, depending on how many people we have working in this area, it depends. The capacity is limited actually. So we don't have enough resources. There's tons and tons of people who want us to purchase their products. So as long as we can enlarge our capacity, we will be able to increase this transaction value proportion. So we believe that there's great potential here. In the future, we would like to achieve 10 to 20% of our total transaction value. Second question, thank you very much. So you will be handling more and more brands, I'm sure. In terms of the type of brands or the targets, please let me know if there are target groups that you haven't addressed yet. This might be something that I'm saying for the first time. So we already have a plan for what brands we want to talk to within the next 3 years. Of course, some users say there's too many brands, it is hard to look for products, and some brands say there's too many brands, so it's hard to stand out. So we are trying to keep all those feedback in mind. But we already have a 3-year plan in terms of what brands we would like to invite on board, but we cannot mention exactly who it is. Are there any questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much. Credit Suisse, my name is Yamate. I have 2 questions. One, this is continues with ZOZO use. Maybe you said 2.0 billion, or did you say 2.2 billion? So that this is basically a 200% increase. It's more than double, a little bit less than triple compared to the last fiscal year. So based on that, you talked about the lack of resources, about staff who can analyze the products and purchase the products. Even if you had enough resources, the fulfillment, of course, the productivity of fulfillment is actually probably going to be very difficult. Is there any plans to address that issue? I forgot to mention this. What we are lacking is the actually logistical capacity and also the resources in terms of labor. in terms of the logistical facilities, we separate the two, the used and actually the other businesses. But when the new center launches, it will all be centered in one center. So ZOZO used products will be included within this other, within the same space, so we can actually achieve economies of scale by going into the same warehouse. In terms of the ZOZO used, it's actually selling very well. 40% of the products actually sell on the same day or sell within a few hours after we actually upload. So it's very profitable, and the turnover is very, very quick. The second question about the coordinate, the new styles that that are offered on the top page, and you mentioned how this has had a positive effect on the transaction value. People who are buying after having seen these images of new styles, are they behaving differently on your website? It's only been 1 month since we've launched, so we haven't been able to analyze consumer behavior in detail yet. But I think that a lot of competitors are interested in this data as well. So strategically we don't want to. We may not be able to offer detailed information in terms of this area. Just please bear in mind that it's quite popular. Are there any other questions? SMBC Nikko Shoken, my name is Kanamori. I have three-part question. The first question, maybe you cannot mention this, but you mentioned that the coordinate images are doing very well. Is it the number of shipments is actually going up, or is it the number of active members are increasing? So if possible, could you tell us what effect exactly it is having? Unfortunately, we cannot give you details. Many people are looking at it. There's a lot of people who go to the product site through the coordinate images, and they are buying a lot from those images. The second question, the number of shops, I would like to confirm the third quarter you had 490 shops, and in third quarter was 490, and fourth quarter was 492. The growth, is it actually becoming stagnant, or is it going to, do you think it will continue to be stagnant, or will it increase? We have a 3-year vision in mind in terms of the shops. We don't, in terms of whether it's rapid growth or not, it's actually per plan, so please do not worry about that. There are some stores that are leaving as well, so the 2 stores that we added in fourth quarter is actually per our initial plans. And lastly, the logistical facilities, what impact will they have? What profit loss effect will they have in the fiscal year 2014 balance sheets? About the depreciation costs, or what kind of impact it will have on the PL? And also when it fully launches, because this year it will launch in October. Yanagisawa-san will respond to that. Depreciation is about 300 million, but in terms of the rental, over 10 years, the 10-year lease, and the amount is 12.5 billion yen for a 10-year lease. So if you can do the calculations there. So I assume that's an annual fee, so it will only be half of what you mentioned, correct? At the end of fiscal year 2013? Yes, it's nearly 6 months, so if you can divide these figures by half. The figures that you mentioned before, is that a year annual figure, or the depreciation of 3 billion is for the impact it will have on the fiscal at the end of fiscal year 2013? My name is Kazahaya from Deutsche Securities. The smartphone proportion is actually growing quite significantly. What kind of change are you seeing that because of that? It's nearly 40%. So this is actually growing significantly and very rapidly. So we actually have released applications for Android and iPhones, and so we think that there's room for even more applications, so we want to maybe explore developing other applications. But we don't really see any different purchasing behavior because users are purchasing on smartphones. Second question, if you look at the slide 25 of your presentation, the transaction value breakdown, you have the EC Consulting. You have, how will you be able to improve e-commerce consulting? I think in the Japanese document you have how you will work on EC sites and also the actual brick and mortar stores are working together. But we say e-commerce consulting, but it's actually improving, actually helping the entire sales of the brand, even in the brick and mortar store. So we want to be able to offer help in terms of the entire distribution and not just online. So this depends on the actual brands, and we cannot mention what the brands are actually thinking, but we want to be able to help these brands in all distribution channels. So this includes O2O and everything, fulfillment. Will you be taking lead in trying to satisfy the brand's needs in terms of O2O and fulfillment? Yes. The third question, I would like to hear Maisa-san's opinion. As more EC sites come into the market, of course, I'm sure that I feel that the issue of fake or non-real products are actually imitation products will be a serious issue. Of course, back then there's a lot of imitations, but Zozo is probably not maybe a problem. But as EC sites or EC business increases, but I believe because imitation will become a huge issue, there's a potential for you to be able to say that what values you offer. You can communicate that to the brands. But in terms of the imitation, we haven't really spent any budget on the imitation issues. But we have a link from our website to the brands, or the brands to our website. Or we can try to create a mark that make sure that people know that it's a real product and not an imitation. Of course, that kind of activity may be necessary in the future, and especially ZOZO used. Some brands are actually concerned about selling new products and used products on the same on a similar platform, but when thinking about the ecology and also cherishing products, cherishing brands, we can because of this movement towards cherishing products and ecology, we can propose to the brands that they can say this is an official brand recognized used product. So that's something that we might be able to do in the future. The next question will be the last question. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. My name is Moria from UBS Securities. I have one question. This is about the relationship you have with brands. On slide 25, you have opportunity costs. Can you talk about how the attitude of brands are changing in terms of providing you the inventory that you need? Is there any movement to actually, or any plans to actually change the commissions for various different brands in terms of opportunity cost? Of course, there's still that still happens because we don't have the inventory. But there's two areas where we can improve, or how we can improve this. So one is to get of course we are asking the brands to give us more inventory to start with. And even if we sell our inventory, if the same product is in the shops or in the warehouses somewhere, we want to secure those warehouses so we can deliver it to our customers. So these are two requests that we are making to our brands. And also the commission rate, I don't think that it's going to change all that much, so if you can just think of it at the low level. I'm sure many of you may still have questions, but this is the end of the Q&A. Thank you for coming to the conference of Start Today Company Limited. There is also a survey on your desk, so please answer the questions on the survey. Thank you for joining us today.